Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and Apple released watchOS 26.3 to the public. watchOS 26.3 is available around the world at the same time for everyone on all watchOS 26 supported devices. Now this particular update, depending on which device you're installing it from and which update you're installing from, came in at 252 megabytes for me on my Apple Watch Ultra 3. So I went from the beta to the new version, which there is a new build we'll talk about in a moment. And if you're trying to install the update, maybe it's larger than this update, you can do this a little bit faster if you turn off Bluetooth. So typically it will install via Bluetooth from the iPhone to the watch, but if you turn off Bluetooth, it will force it to go to Wi-Fi. So just go into your settings, go down to Bluetooth, and then scroll all the way down and then turn off Bluetooth. Then you can re-enable this after it installs the update or downloads it, and it will just speed up the process if you're having delays. So try that out, see if it works for you. It definitely helped with the previous update, which was much larger. Now, along with this, Apple also released iOS 26.3 and updates for iPads, Macs, tvOS, HomePodOS, and visionOS, bringing them all to version 26.3. This was released alongside some older updates as well with iOS 18.7.5, but that's only for the iPhone XR, XS, and XS Max. It's no longer available for any devices newer than that. So if you're on iOS 26 supported devices, you'll only have iOS 26 and watchOS 26 to install. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the build number and talk about what's new. So again, we'll go back to settings, then we'll go to the top here, then we'll go to general, then about. And as you can see, the build number is 23S620. This is how you know you're on the latest version. Like I mentioned before, there's a new build if you were on the RC version as well. So if you were on watchOS 26.3 RC, you'll still have an update. So if you want to stop getting beta updates, you can turn that off now. As far as what's new, well, it says this update includes improvements and bug fixes for your Apple Watch. Apple has not added any new features like they did with watchOS 26.2.1 with AirTags 2 or second generation support. Unfortunately, there's nothing new as far as what they've called out initially. Bug fixes and improvements, though, are always nice, but they're not telling us exactly what they are. Unlike previous years, Apple did not release new wallpapers or watch faces to go along with the black Unity watch band they released. You can see that on Apple's newsroom website. So you'll see here, they revealed a black Unity Apple Watch band. Typically, we would have some wallpapers to go along with that, as well as new watch faces. Again, this is the first time in years they've done this, so maybe they have some different plans in the future for this. When it comes to bugs and bug fixes, well, unfortunately, I've had a few just before filming this video. So let me unlock my Apple Watch. And one issue I just had is if I went into messages where I had a notification that I had some messages, then I go to unread messages, it didn't show me all of the unread messages. It only showed 4 out of about 8 of them. So for whatever reason, this is still a bug. It's also fairly laggy when you go into the control center, even on the newest watch here. So Liquid Glass has a little work that needs to be done, at least on watchOS. It does work just fine, but it's a little bit laggy. As far as opening and closing apps, I haven't really noticed any change here. For example, if you go into the Noise app, it seems to be fairly fast. It's working like you would expect. And if you go into any other app that we have here, whether it's music or something else, they seem to be working like you would expect here. But my messages and things are still problematic, so I'm not exactly sure that they fixed a whole lot here. As far as security updates, though, there are a significant amount of them. So let's take a look. So if we go into Safari, we'll slide over to Apple's security release website and scroll down, and you'll see all of the latest releases here. If we go to watchOS 26.3, you'll see there's quite a few updates, everything from Bluetooth to core audio. And if we keep scrolling, we have kernel updates. We also have updates to Sandbox, StoreKit, WebKit, and a few additional recognitions here. So for example, WebKit is the underlying technology behind Safari, and it says the impact was processing maliciously crafted web content may lead to an unexpected process crash. To fix this, the issue was addressed with improved memory handling. And then it has the CVE number, and you can see all of the information here. So I'll link the security updates in the description below. There's quite a few significant ones here, and definitely it's worth updating. We'll talk about that in a moment. As far as future releases, well, many people were saying that iOS 26.4 going along with watchOS 26.4 would include some major Siri updates to Siri 2.0 with Apple Intelligence, where it integrates Google's Gemini, and they're using a similar model to that. However, based on recent information, it seems that Apple may push this a little bit further out. So whether or not they push any significant updates with watchOS 26.4 is hard to say, but it does seem like they're trying to refine things. Some leadership changes have taken place within iOS design teams, schemes and things like that. So maybe they're just taking a little bit longer in refining things. But watchOS 26.4 may or may not have any of these features. Hopefully they'll integrate some, but watchOS 26.4 Beta 1 could release as soon as, well, this week, next week, or possibly the week of the 23rd, which is currently rumored. So we'll have to wait and see what they do there. If they do it based off previous releases, I would say it would be sometime next week for the first beta. Now, if you're wondering if you should install watchOS 26.3, well, if you're on any of the previous betas, I would definitely do that. And of course, coming from 26.2.1, I would certainly install it as well, just for those security updates to make sure everything's secure on your watch. It doesn't seem to change anything as far as overall performance, but those security updates are significant enough. So speaking of performance, I showed you a little bit opening a few apps, but if we go into Mercury Weather that I typically use on my iPhone, I haven't opened it on the watch in quite some time. So you'll see it does take a moment to load. That can be due to the internet connection, or it could just be a little bit buggy here when it comes to speed. So let's give it a second here, see if it's going to load or not. So it finally loaded. It did take a moment, but again, this is the first time opening this since installing it. It seems to work fine. Haptic feedback is working as you would expect. And if we go into other applications, it seems to be great as well. So if we go into Home, for example, it takes a moment and then loads as you would expect. Everything seems fast except the control center, like I mentioned before. As far as battery life, it seems to be pretty good. Many people were complaining with watchOS 26.3 RC, and this time around it seems much better. It was charged to 80% here with optimized battery charging and is actually holding at 75% after using it for some time. So it looks like it's improved quite a bit. Yesterday it was down to 50% or 60% right when I was installing watchOS 26.3. So it seems like it's a big improvement so far. Only time will tell, but we'll talk more about battery life and things like that in the weekend follow-up video. As far as battery health, let's go back into settings here. So we'll scroll down, go into settings, we'll go back to battery, and within battery, I would expect this to be at 100%. I use this every single day now, except maybe on weekends, but if we take a look at battery health, you'll see I'm currently at 100% capacity. Even my Apple Watch Ultra 2 and first generation are typically around 100% still. They seem to hold a little bit longer. Of course, the updates don't affect that. It just recalculates it. And for those of you wondering what watch face I'm using, well, you can see here if I press and hold, it was again very stuttery and slow. I'm using the modular watch face. If we go to edit here, you'll see that the complications I'm using are, of course, the date here, we have the time, and then we have an app called Lumi in the middle that shows us golden hour, or one of the best times to take photos and video, and you can see some other options here, countdown to moon times, moon weekly, or whatever you prefer. We also have activity, we have the compass, messages, and then the weather. So that's typically what I use for my watch face. It seems to work well, and I've used it for years now. Also, one other thing people have asked is what watch band this is. This is the Nomad Stratos band, and it's actually an icy blue, and it glows in the dark. So if I turn off the lights here briefly, maybe it'll glow a little bit. So it's hard to show with this type of lighting, but it gets very, very bright in dark light once it's been sort of charged up as far as the glow in the dark portion goes. It looks great, and it's something I've linked in the description below I've been using for some time. So that's it for watchOS 26.3. Not a huge update, and I wish they would be more transparent about what bugs they fixed. So if they aren't fixed for us, we can provide feedback. But let me know how it's working for you and what device you're using. And of course, I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.